All right, I'm gonna call the meeting to order, having a quorum. And I'm gonna ask for the approval of the minutes for September 29th. Is there a motion and a second to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Okay, is there a second?
29.
Not having read them,
Do you want a copy?
that'd be a good idea, I
I
guess.
apologize, they went out so late this morning.
I'll second that. Give you a few
I
minutes, Sandy,
did
to
get it,
do
but I didn't read it.
Okay.
I mean, I got it today, but,
Take a few minutes to review it.
I'll second.
Okay. Are there any errors or omissions?
Not that I know of.
Okay, I want to have just one, under the production AG. At the first meeting, the one in Ossipee here, Will DeWitt had talked about a bunch of farmers getting together, maybe forming a co-op or something to use some of the land. And I noticed as we reviewed this, that we had tenant farming and so forth, but there was nothing on that, so I kind of added that to it. Under production AG.
Question?
Yes.
Would, tenant farming does not preclude a co-op, group of farmers.
Mark already
To me,
said
it
he-
just means,
No, your mark is saying that he just.
it just means
He can move.
a farm or farmers leasing it.
Yes, yes, and we had talked about that, about beginning farmers basically having an acre or a half
Good morning,
acre, so
everybody.
to
That's
to
what I
basically
said.
farm it.
Unprepared today.
Did you get minutes?
I get that, yeah, I read it. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? If not, all those in favor of the minutes as amended?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay. Listening sessions, review and tabulation, which is, do we feel that we've completed that? Is there anything else we want to do? I think, as always, Susan did just a great job compiling all of this and so forth and categorizing it. Is there anything that we feel has been left out or missed that we may want to add to that we didn't pick up from the listening sessions? Okay,
We didn't pick up the listening session yet.
so.
Question?
Sandy, go ahead.
Wildlife corridors?
They were on there.
I'm trying to find it.
Oh, on the minutes?
Yeah,
I mean, it's-
No.
does it need to be, or is it understood to be under one of these others?
Probably that should go under other
Yeah,
wildlife corridor.
wildlife corridor.
I think we may have thought that was under conservation, but I think
Well-
probably, because if we're going to do any kinds of hiking trails or anything like that, we need to know the wildlife corridor.
I remember that was mentioned.
Oh, I think I would phrase it as, under other, would be, it's preserving existing wildlife corridors. That's the way I would phrase it,
Preserve.
yeah. But that's just me.
Okay, no, I think that's, we can add that to that as well. Do we feel that we need to do more work on those? I think we've pretty much covered it, and as I said, Susan, as always, just did a great job in kind of categorizing all of it, so I think it's pretty clear. Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.
Is there anything else that we want to do in regards to this? But before we close the door on that, under the agenda and the next thing, additional input. I got an email from Commissioner Hounsell, which I forwarded to the group, some of his thoughts and ideas. And today, Cheryl Loren from down in the office forward to me an email to me and copying me and Amanda from a student at a college in North Carolina, who I think probably lives in the county, because he was asking a question about some of the options that we were exploring. And I responded to him, again copying you, and I got an email back which I have not responded to, but he would like to get involved. And so I have not responded to him on that because I wanted to discuss it with the committee first. I know we had talked earlier, and the committee liked the idea of the 6 members, that there just seemed to be a real cohesion here and a good solid comfort level. But my question is, do you want to just basically exclude anybody who may want to get involved in going forward? Maybe not necessarily a member of the committee, but just in some other capacity. So,
Question,
yes.
did this student indicate how they would like to be involved?
He did not, and that would certainly be a question. But he's a college student, it's ironic, his major is environmental, which is exactly the same as Austin and Bertie's was, and one of those plugs we were looking for. But being a student, I don't know how much, he wouldn't be able to commute, if he is in fact going to school in North Carolina. He's not going to be attending our meetings. So I don't know what capacity he would want to get involved in. But I did not pursue that at all because I wanted to get a sense of the committee first.
Well, it's like.
And this kind of just general, excuse me, Amanda, if other people step forward and say, gee, I think I have something to offer, how could I get involved? Do we want to adopt a policy? Maybe not necessarily as a committee member, but find some way that their expertise and background could basically contribute to the committee as it goes forward. Speaking for myself, I don't think we should discourage anybody.
No, I think that makes good sense.
Anybody who says, gee, I'd like to get involved, I think I have something to offer, I think we should encourage and promote that. But that's just my feeling, so.
Well, I think we should invite them to the meetings,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah,
They can participate in public input before or after the
Mhm.
meeting.
Mhm.
And if we do form subcommittees, which I somewhat think we will,
Mhm.
we would be looking for volunteers for the subcommittees too.
If we do that, I would suggest we might want to have a main committee member be the chair of a subcommittee.
I agree, Sandy, that makes all the sense in the world to me.
So that the subcommittee members could be doing a lot of the research,
Mhm.
spreading the load.
Yeah,
And then the subcommittee chair has the responsibility of producing or providing the input to the main committees.
yeah, I think that's a good policy procedure to follow on that.
But I think we should accept help.
Yep. Well, the other thing is building up support throughout the county for it as well. They will be talking to other people and keeping other people, it'll be network, letting people know, gee, this is what's going on there. To me, it's a win-win situation. I don't see any downside of this at all.
Well, I think it's like having government oversight film these meetings.
Yep.
They go out, people are being
Yes,
informed,
exactly. Yep.
and if they see we're looking for some talent that they have, I think they'll be more than willing to come forward.
Yep.
If we're open and say, please,
Yep.
everybody come to the meeting and
Yep.
see what we do.
I agree, Amanda. Yeah.
Because I think before we get done, we're gonna need a lot of talent. Not that we don't have a lot of talent
That's right.
here.
We
but-
have a lot here now.
Yes.
So do we want to basically adopt that as a policy then? That we're very comfortable with the committee of 6, that we like the idea of encouraging and bringing other people into it, maybe with the idea of forming subcommittees. Certainly as we go forward, there may be a lot of work that needs to be done and to spread that workload out. But as a minimum, we invite people to attend the meetings and to watch also GovernmentOversite.com website, because that's a great way for anybody to keep up to date and posted as to what the committee is doing and some of the issues that we're discussing. Okay.
And then how do we,
Excuse, Ken?
Oh,
You-
no, I just have to see Amanda.
Oh, okay, all right. I'm sorry, Sandy, go ahead.
then how or when are we going to decide that we might need a subcommittee for topic Z?
Mhm. Well, the thing is, that comes up.
Yeah.
As we go forward, if we say, gee, there's something we're really interested in taking, getting a lot more background information, but maybe as a group, we don't have the time, so maybe we should appoint a subcommittee. One of us will volunteer to chair that subcommittee, help to organize it and go forward. Is that a good step to follow? Sandy,
Mhm.
does that answer your question?
It does,
Okay.
which is what I was expecting.
Yes, yep, okay.
And then we would solicit membership
Yes,
from the public at large, that
Yes,
people who
yeah,
might wish to help.
yeah. I mean, if people are watching GovernmentOversite.com, listening to this discussion, they should certainly be getting the message that we are welcoming anybody who wants to get involved in this thing. And I'll look right in the camera and say it, you know. Going forward, we certainly would welcome anybody who feels that they have something to contribute and to offer to the committee. We'd welcome to hear from them. Okay, I put an asterisk under additional input in the morning. This was just an idea that I had, but I think we should discuss it. We had approximately about 45 people collectively show up at the 3 listening sessions that we had. And I'm wondering, at this point in time, do we want to somehow reach out in some other format and fashion to see if we can't get additional input? And if we did, what would be the vehicle that we'd want to use to do that? I know at one time we had talked about reaching out to the members of the Carroll County Farm Bureau. I mean, that's the county farmers group, and we've made very little effort to reach out to them as a group to see what they may have to, what their thoughts, needs are, how they feel the county farm may help them in going forward. So that may be a group, a collective group that we might want to talk to, reach out to somehow, some way. Sandy?
Well, is it next week, Amanda?
Wednesday night.
Wednesday night. Next Wednesday night is the Carroll County Farm Bureau Chapter's annual meeting.
Okay.
And we might want to have somebody there talk about it.
I talked about it at our last meeting, but I can also.
Yeah.
Would you mind doing that, Amanda? And again, invite them to,
I
Give
invited
us some
them to
feedback.
the listening sessions at their last meeting a month ago.
okay, all right.
We had a big dinner.
The other thing that I was thinking about today, and I'm not sure how topics are chosen for this. For those of you who get the Daily Sun, probably know that periodically they have these, what's it called, teletalk? Where they pose a question and people.
They do that every week?
Right, but they invite people to write in and
Yes.
provide their comments.
Yep.
I thought that might be one way. I'm not sure how hot a topic it is up in Conway's, but it's one option.
Okay.
If I could,
Yes.
I love the thought. Weren't we already part of the teletalk question? Should there be a farm study or something? Wasn't that a month ago or so?
I think that was
I did a
one-
radio interview up there, Mark. It wasn't the teletalk, but it was the local radio station up there. I did about a 15 to 20-minute interview, which they did run.
I apologize, it was a different subject, you're right, it
It
has.
was to do with the,
Yes, yeah, it's
The
the
other
weekly
thing.
Yes,
teletalk,
okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. If the committee decided they wanted to do that, I know Mark Garang, I'd be more than happy to approach him on this, if that's an avenue we felt we'd take, again, to reach out to try to gather more input.
I just don't know how they choose topics.
It's whatever was hot the week before. If something happens, bad, good, or, well, bad or good, usually one of those things is a topic.
Right, well, so, but I don't know if this is a bad news, good news story or not. You
Well, I
know?
think we should wait on that until we collect some more speed, maybe.
Okay,
Get things going in a direction, and then we can focus that to a specific topic that a question could answer. I mean, I know we're still looking for more input, but we've got these 4 categories.
Yeah,
There's a lot of work to be done just with what's here. I mean, you could make 4 subcommittees for each one of these topics, basically.
mhm.
So do we want to sort of funnel this stuff to where we want it to be? Put that out there and then go get some more ideas or more focused ideas? Or do we still want general, broad ideas?
Let me just back up here for a second. I see where you're going with this, Dale, and it's a good idea. But as I read this, the input that we got from the 3 listening sessions is pretty broad. There really isn't a lot left out of this. I mean, we really run the gamut, you know, from basically from gravel pits to hunting to the wildlife corridors to farming to educational programs. I mean, there really isn't a lot left out. If we went out and sought additional input, and I think we should always be welcoming additional input, but how much effort do we want to pin into it? Because what new do we think we may get? I mean, is somebody, would we get just further confirmation of all the ideas and thoughts that we've got now? Or would somebody come up with something brand new to say, wow, we missed that completely in the 3 listening sessions? I mean, I don't know.
I think that you went out of your way, did a wonderful job posting the meetings, being on the radio. I started going through the Carroll County Independent. The number of front page stories you had was outstanding.
Yeah,
Same thing on the Carroll County side.
yeah, Carroll County had 2 front page
To
stories.
be disappointed on how many people show up, unfortunately, is the way things are in public
Yeah.
meetings. And so I don't know how much longer you want to keep that process open. And then I'm somewhat afraid that if you keep that open, then people are going to start focusing on certain things.
Mhm.
And I don't know that that's advantageous either. You
Yeah.
know, the focal groups get
Yeah.
involved. So I like Dale's thought. But I'm open, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
You can always leave it open that they can always send an email or something, but I don't think to open up and go to 3 more towns is.
Yeah, that was not what I had in mind, Mark, because we've gone that route. But I was just wondering if there may be other channels that we may want to explore. And I have to confess, I've got mixed emotions about this. I certainly don't want to discourage anybody from giving input into this thing. But as I look at this, I mean, at those 3 listening sessions, there isn't much here that was left untouched on. And in fact, as you recall, there was a lot of there was duplication of some of this. So but I wanted to put that out there, if we've left some stone unturned here.
Well, I
Amanda.
think, kind of bouncing off what Dale and
Yeah.
Mark said, we've got 4 major topics, and what we can do is each week, for the
Yeah.
next 4 weeks, concentrate on one topic. And then see, okay, well, we'll concentrate on education. What do we got? What are we looking at? Do we need a subcommittee on education? And by posting that ahead of time, if people are interested in the educational piece, maybe we can invite them to come to those meetings, or, you know, and maybe by seeing a televised about education, they'll go, oh, well, yeah, but they didn't think about this, or they didn't think
Yeah.
about that. And it would be more specific things under that broad heading.
Okay.
I thought.
Any other thoughts? All right. The RFP, I know Amanda had said, what I have found is, I've gone through a lot of the old email exchanges that we had with the first committee over a year ago, and I found, it was Ken who sent this, a guide for writing a request for proposal. And I thought this might be helpful and interesting and go along with an earlier one that the committee had put together, looking at starting to put together a request for proposal. And while I'm not sure we're quite at that point yet, in lieu of some of the discussion we'll be having now, I think we should start thinking about that as to what is the format and how we want to put this whole thing together. Even though we realize that there still may be more input, we still be discussing the format, the categories and so forth. We may want to start thinking about just how we want to structure this deal.
Should we, that almost seems like putting the cart before the horse to me.
What I'm saying, yeah.
There's a lot of work to do here
Yep,
on just these 4 categories.
yep,
So I think we really, I mean, if we're talking a week per, or every other week
I
we
mean,
meet.
yeah,
So that we're looking at 2 months to get through these 4 categories. And I apologize for not being here last week, scheduling messed me up. But
Well, it was disappointing to us.
I'm sure you
It
were.
was, no?
we're taking notes.
Just for the sake of discussion, the education topic.
Yep,
We get down to the research and 4-H and certificate programs. In order to do the research on those things, we need to bring the people in that will be doing those things. You know, I mean, if we're gonna do an education meeting, we need to have UNH here, we need to have a representative from 4-H here, we need to have whoever, whatever would be doing their certificate program here, so we can hear from them. We give them our idea of what we want to do, and then they would tell us whether, how much or how little they want to be involved, or what they would need to be involved. So there's a lot of stuff right here that we need to focus on before we even worry about writing an RFP, as far as I'm concerned.
mm-hmm,
It's the same with the recreation topic. I mean, you're gonna need to get horse people in here as far as, and they're gonna wanna say, well, let's build a trail. Anyone can say, let's build a trail. But what does a horse trail need to operate properly for the best riding in our area? We'd have to walk the property and put it out, and you'd have to, I mean, there's so many different options that we need to really concentrate here before we even worry about the method for writing an RFP. That's just my opinion.
okay, okay.
And I think it's a lot of what you just said means we're really gonna need subcommittees.
Yeah.
Oh, without question.
Yeah.
Without question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That all depends on how. I took these when we did them originally, and I kind of have an idea in my head of what the complex I would think would be best to write an RFP on. I don't know if anyone else did the same thing, but that's what I did. So I took all these ideas and I said, well, this would work here this season, this would work here, this would work year round, this might work here, to sort of make a game plan. Is that, I mean, that's another way to do it maybe,
mm-hmm,
but we still need the information from all these people that would be involved in these ideas to better educate ourselves before we even write that RFP. I think. I might be wrong, I don't know.
I guess, I understand what you're saying, and while I have not got as detailed as you have on this deal, the question that has come to my mind is, do we want to do a lot of the feasibility studies work here? Because we could run into that and to do that. Just how all right, take one of the horseback trails.
Okay.
And this was something that was put on the table.
Yep,
And we may want to create, and I'm just picking out one item, we may want to create a subcommittee to explore that. But what if they come back and they say, yeah, this is a great idea, let's do this? Then basically, we've done the feasibility studies work. And there may be other items on here as well, in which, and believe me, I always want to put the idea of subcommittees on the table, so I'm not talking myself out of this thing. But I think we've got to kind of, at some point in time, decide, do we feel, even with a subcommittee, and there may be people on there who know a lot more about this than we as a committee will ever know, basically, are we asking them to do the feasibility study work? And they come back and say, yes, this is a great idea, this is what it's going to cost, this is how the program's to be set up. I mean, basically, that's what we're asking the feasibility study to do.
but if we can do that to a point,
Yeah,
and then write your RFP,
yeah,
your feasibility study will be more focused, maybe less expensive, and come through with better and more solid information.
and that could very well be. I'm not disagreeing with you at all. It could very well be. You know, I think one time it's kind of a throwaway comment. I said, you know, could we do the feasibility study? And I'm not saying that we can, but the thing is, because we may find, again, sticking with your horse trails, they're reaching out, we may find that we end up with 6 or 7 people that know a lot more about horse trails than somebody we're paying thousands of dollars to could, you know?
Yeah.
And we may get the answer that we really want without, I mean, I don't know.
Right.
But as I try to set the parameters and so forth, that's something that we could conceivably do. I mean, one of the things that was discussed was a gravel operation. I'm sure there are people in this county who deal with that every day of the week, who could come in and tell you, okay, this is what, you got this acreage, we've done soil tests, you got this and that. Should we be spending thousands of dollars for somebody to go out to do that when we can get it basically in-house here?
So you know
I
what you're
don't
saying,
know.
right?
Huh?
You know what you're saying right now.
I know what I'm saying.
We can do the feasibility study
Well,
ourselves.
remember, I threw out and said, you know, could we do it? And I'm not saying we can, but the question I posed is, how deep do we want to get into this in these subcommittees? I don't have an answer. That's an honest question. But Sandy, go ahead.
But-
Bail me out here, Sandy.
No, I don't know about bailing you out, but what we may find is that we have sufficient expertise within this committee, along with any perhaps subcommittees that we get going,
Mhm.
to answer the question as to the feasibility and perhaps the relative cost
Yeah.
of certain of those items. And others, we don't have the expertise or the time to do it at all.
Mhm.
For example, trails, hiking trails, ATV trails, those may be the types of things that we have the expertise to do ourselves. But, I'll stay with a horse theme, putting up a boarding stable, a horse stable, we may not have that skill to determine the feasibility of doing that on this property within our committee. And for that, we might want to say, hired expert. Why don't you check into that one? 'Cause I think that what we're trying to do is figure out how we focus this hired consultant. And what areas do we want them to study, and what can we do ourselves?
Well, that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
To me, that's the bottom line. What can we do ourselves?
Yeah.
And what do we feel that our expertise, or maybe reaching out and trying to get other expertise, we just can't do it. We need somebody else in the committee to do that.
But
Mark,
that's
oh, okay.
what Dale has been saying, is
Yeah.
that perhaps on some of these things, we can do it. And I think that's great.
Yeah.
There aren't,
No, hold
Oh,
on.
sorry, Mark.
I just want to, I thought I heard, and I apologize, I'm gone here. I thought I heard the suggestion that we focus on 1 or 2 of these areas as our focus for the next meeting, and we do it for 4 meetings.
Mhm.
I think we've got a good group, so I don't know that we want to break out to subcommittees at this point in time. But if we're going to focus, and your question was, how do we get more involvement? So if the first subject we're going to tackle next time we're here, let's say is the first one on the left, recreation.
Mhm.
So you do your paper notice, well, how do you feel about recreation being done on the county property? And invite people to come to be listening, and maybe those people will be here. And you listen to what they say, and then we say thank you, and then we move on to the next one. And then maybe it'll help us evolve, like you say, what can we chip out of this ourselves? Or we may find that there isn't a decent view to be found on a hike here without cutting out so much, from here and that, Maybe those people will come here. So maybe that's your opportunity again to have some more, a little bit of involvement in
Yeah.
here without breaking out into something else. I like the idea.
Mark, last week, Mark, or 2 weeks ago, whenever we were here, Mark had talked about a possibility of having a lot of people come and do test pits to see how the gravel and how the lay of the
Soil,
land
yeah.
was. And I thought that getting a global picture to put all of the smaller elements on it seemed to be a nice approach. And I think Dale is right, because once we have a sense of, well, we don't want to do it here because it's all wetland, so we ought to stay out of there, but we could do something here. And with the horses, if we had people that are familiar with equine things, and they go, oh yes, if we could have these trails and you could put them here and here, and this is, you could actually charge or whatever. I would think they would all be enthusiastic because they're all equine people, but the dollars and cents might not reflect their enthusiasm, and that's the piece that might have to go to the feasibility study. We have a plan to put these trails here or this horse place here, and we've had experts in our area involved, and they say they feel it would go, but we would like an expert opinion.
Mhm. Dale, you have thought there,
Oh, no, that's exactly where I was headed.
Okay, all right.
Because we have, like for the recreation, you have a shooting range. We have a Carroll County Fish and Game Club.
Yep.
You bring representatives down, they have a shooting range there. How do you work it? Does it make money? Can you feasibly see a shooting range here that would either, again, would it bring people to the property? Probably, because the Carroll County Fish and Game Club is in Madison,
Mhm.
at the northern end of the county.
Yep, yep.
I don't believe there's another public shooting range in this end. There's a private one, I think.
Madison.
The Carroll County Fish and Game Club's in Madison,
That's right.
but I don't think there's another, anybody can join Fish and Game Club where you can go skeet shoot on Sundays, target practice the rest of the week. They've done some improvements there, so they're obviously doing okay. Well, I shouldn't say obviously, it appears they're doing okay. Is that something that we bring them down and they say, well, yeah. Well, what are the dollars and cents? We don't know. Exactly like Amanda said, that's what we send in the RFP to have the people do the feasibility study.
Amanda?
4-H Club has a shotgun skeet shooting group. So, there's an overlap right away.
There you go.
So,
And I really feel strongly, and I think you guys have figured this out already, that we can do 75% of this work on our own. And it's just calling the right people that are either in the county that are experts in a lot of these fields, or when you get to the research and education part of it, the people that, according to the listening session in Moulton Borough, we heard one of the representatives say that he has talked to a lot of these people.
In the
I think
education.
it would be great if we could talk to these
Yeah.
people to see if they want to jump in both feet, if they want to just get their toes wet, what they would be willing to do here to make those things happen. We don't know any of information. Anyone can say, yeah, all these people are interested, but I think they need to be here in front of this committee so we know, because that'll give us more information. And when they tell us what they want to do, what they don't want to do, what they're willing to put in, what they're not willing to put in, that again funnels everything down to a more focused project, so we can send that to the feasibility study and say, will this work? I mean, you're talking fees for taking a class, you're talking paying educators, you're talking all those things when you have education. So we need to figure out what that is, or an idea what that is, so we can send that information, and then they can really focus that feasibility study on that one item.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that can be done with 90% of these ideas that the public has given us during the first 3 listening sessions.
I've got a question on this, and Mark has had to step out for a minute, so I'm gonna put the onus on Representative Comeau here if I can. And my question is, I can ask Amanda as well, because I think we've got the 2 of you. You're representing the commissioners, and Ed at this moment is representing the delegation.
Just at this moment.
Just I said at this
I don't
moment.
represent the delegation, I represent myself.
Okay. Okay, speaking for yourself as a member of the delegation. If this committee and any subcommittees that we've created ended up doing a lot of the preliminary work here, and basically, so we had really our fingerprint on it. And now the final report comes to the commissioners and it comes to the delegation. Might there be a bias on the commissioner's part and the delegation's part saying, well, you know, this was done by the committee, a lot of this was done by the committee rather than by outside experts. And so it might there be a tendency to say, well, okay, we got to bear that in mind. Might we lose some credibility here?
None of us still going to give it to the feasibility. All we have done is help to focus it a little.
Yeah, but by the same token, we've guided it to the feasibility study, and we've said, okay, this is what we want you to study. We haven't given them that broad range and say, okay, horseback riding, go out there and see if this is doable or not. We kind of said, okay, we've looked at this, and we've looked at that, and we've studied this, but this is the final answer we want you to give us. That we're kind of, in some sense, guiding the direction of the feasibility study, unless I've missed something here. But the question is, might the delegation be sitting there thinking that, you know, oh, okay, who did the work here?
The only issue I would see is if somebody that sits on the committee has a personal interest or personal gain from it.
Okay.
If
okay.
they don't, you're not steering anything. You're approaching it on different angles and coming up with ideas. I don't
Okay.
think that you would be, if one of you here had a horseback riding company, and you push it to a horseback riding trail, then that would be a problem.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think the process is good, it's open.
Okay.
And I think it would be accepted as long as there's no
Okay,
conflict.
so you don't feel to be a loss of credibility there?
No,
You know?
not for me, not for
Okay. Okay.
my opinion.
And Amanda, do you feel that commissioners would still approach that? Yes, okay, this is good stuff?
I do.
Okay,
do.
all right.
I think the commissioner's first response is going to be, wow, this feasibility isn't going to cost as much as we thought it was, because the 6 of you with subcommittees did a lot of the work.
Yeah, okay.
You know, where the final, is it really feasible or not, is coming from outsiders. It would be, I mean, Mark might come forward and say, oh, well, yeah, I think that what we ought to do is, I'll come up and I'll teach everybody how to put in septic systems. And I think like Ed said, people might go, I don't think that's a good, you know, how did you arrive at that idea or something? But the ideas that we're coming up with, and we narrow them down, and maybe having on-site lessons for people running backhoes and, I don't know, what are those other little things called? Bobcats.
The question-
Something other than a shovel.
Yeah. The question that I'm sorry.
And then the feasibility could look at, is this something that there's a need for? Well, yes, they've given us this information. Well, what about financially? And then they can say, well, they gave us this information, so let's go check this out. And they'll take what we give them and check it out and see if it is feasible. That would be my interpretation of what a
Okay.
good feasibility study would do.
Okay. You were out, and I posed a question here, and that question was, as we've discussed this, and I'm asking you to, delegation head on. That as we've discussed this, we've asked if some of this initial work couldn't be done by either this committee or subcommittees that we may have created. In other words, we're doing the initial eliminating process, the initial research and studying, and then we would make a decision at some point. You know, may need more information, so now we're turning it over to a group to do the feasibility study. Might the delegation, in looking at the final report and realizing that some of the work was done by this committee, not all of it was done by the group doing the feasibility study, might there be some questions on the part of the delegation as to the credibility of the data that's part of this report?
I don't think so.
Okay, all right.
I thought you were gonna ask me if we were gonna give you money. I had an answer for you already. No, I think.
Well, that was the trick question, see?
No, I think, I'm happy with the due diligence, I'm happy with the direction we're taking, it's reasonable,
Okay,
so.
okay, well,
And it'll save money in the long run.
well, that's certainly the goal, yeah,
Okay, but I
yeah.
mean, there's a possibility, more possibility of that than just saying, okay, here's this big wide idea, you do the feasibility study.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I could see that
Yeah.
running into,
Well, I can see at the next 4 meetings where we've made the decision that we're gonna take each one of these and basically spend a good part of the meeting, if not all the meeting, going down through and examining these things.
Well,
That-
we have a lot of prep work to do before we do this. If we're gonna go left to right, top to bottom, if we're gonna do recreation in 2 weeks, 14 days from today,
Mhm.
we need to find people that we think are qualified, I'm not gonna say experts, but have more knowledge than us on these 6 topics, to come educate us whether or not something like any of these 6 ideas in the recreation heading are feasible. I think that will help to ease your mind on the losing credibility. If we bring in people that have knowledge about these things, and it's not just us writing the idea or the report to the commissioners or the delegation, we talk to these people. Let's say there's 3 people that we get about horse stables and boarding. And they come down and we learn about that. And then we say, well, we think this could work from the information we've gathered. That will take kind of us off of it as a committee, as making the decision, and we've talked to these 3 people. This is what they think can happen. This is the route we should go with that topic. We can sit here and hash out at 6 of us, or we can better educate ourselves during the meetings if we can find people that know about these ideas to educate us. And then we can make our decision, as well as the knowledge we have from any of these ideas on all 4 categories.
How do we go about doing that?
I have a suggestion.
All right, you've got the floor, man, you go, girl.
Well, if we divide them up into the 4 categories,
Yeah.
and we say, for example, 4 weeks from now, we're going to do the education one, and we put a date on it. And 6 weeks, we're gonna do the production ag, and 8 weeks, we're gonna do the, and whatever. But we put all those dates down. Then, when we're concentrating, say we're gonna do recreation in 4 weeks, we decide what areas of recreation we'd like to hear from, and invite people, have the date, invite our experts, as we find them or whatever, and then publicize that so that people, everyday people that have interest in recreation can have some input. They can, well, whatever they want to do to get in touch with us. But we'd have some, there's a person that designs trails that's in Conway, I think. I don't know who he is, but he's there. And have them, invite them in for that meeting. And as Dale said, we listen to what they talk about. Maybe when we invite them to come in, we give them one of these maps of the county, or one of the hieroglyphics, not hieroglyphics, what are these called? Topographic. Okay. And they aren't gonna give us any, oh yeah, we're gonna go 5 miles here and 3 miles here. They won't do that, but they'll be able to give us some ideas. And they may be able to say, well, if you go up to the water tower, there's a beautiful view here or there or someplace else, and that you definitely want in your hiking trail or your recreational vehicle trail or whatever. And then maybe from that, if we have someone that's talking about the hiking and says, well, there's great potential here, but we can connect into some trails that are already here, this place. Then we have a subcommittee, and we put them just on looking at hiking. And then we go on to the recreational vehicles, maybe have somebody come in and they go, well, you know, there isn't enough here for skidoos, you'd just be running around in circles. But we have a skidoo trail that comes in up at the Castle in the Cloud, and another one that goes over here, and maybe if we got together with the skidoo people, and so we form a subcommittee to look at that. I don't see this all being done by Thanksgiving.
Mm-mm.
Well, my one question, thinking about the logistics of this, under recreation, we've got 6 different areas here that we want to explore. And if we go out and invite people in who we feel really has something to offer, are you saying that at that one meeting, we are basically going to be discussing all 6 of these?
It might take 2 meetings to do.
It might take 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I mean, if people are volunteering to come down, I would hate to sit here and say, well, you've got 20 minutes to make it, to tell us all you know, because they're gonna say, look, you know, I could spend hours just talking about this, just that one item.
Do we, as a committee, have access to the county land?
What do you mean access to?
Say we're talking recreation.
Yeah.
And just for the sake of argument, I know someone that builds horseback riding trails.
Uh-huh.
Or hiking trails, any trail. Can we talk to somebody, come down here and walk the property before the meeting so they have an idea? And then they can say, well, yeah, this would be a good trail to get to the water tower if we went this way.
Mm-hmm.
This is how long it would be, this is what it would cost roughly to build. And then,
I don't even know if they need to get quite that in depth, but there's certainly,
Well-
as far as I know, the only place that they really get a little upset about people going around is the jail. They don't like them walking around the outside of the jail,
and the septic system,
you know.
yeah. So is that like, 'cause
But
if we
it's-
did that on a non-meeting day, if I knew someone that
Uh-huh.
knew something and took care of that and showed them, walked around or rode around or something, and then during our meeting, they would have an idea of what we wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that would take less time, be more direct.
Yeah.
And more focused.
More productive, yeah.
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 And should we have a large, very clear topographical map with all current functions and buildings highlighted on it, so that we could start mapping ideas to the ground? Because we are going to find out that this is multi-use.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have a suggestion. We have all these maps and they're great. There's a company, I believe it's in Bartlett, who flies around these droids and can take video, high quality HD video. Would that be something worth approaching somebody to, I don't know, we're talking money again here, maybe, but would it be worth doing that so maybe we wouldn't have to walk all 794 acres and we could get a video from the air of areas and woodlots and fields and the property, so people can sit there and say, watch a 20-minute video, and this is your 794 acres of your Carroll County farm. Would that be it's just, I just thought about this the other day. I was wondering if that would be something that we could,
What does it look like when you're above it? All you're gonna see is treetops, isn't it?
yeah, in the wooded area, but you're also gonna see wetlands, you're gonna see streams, you're gonna see ponds, you're gonna see open areas, you're gonna see elevation changes if you can fly lower in the tree. The guy I'm thinking of is really good at flying these things, and he can go all over the place. I'm not saying it should be done, I'm just wondering if it could be an option.
I think we could, talk to Ken to see, well, first of all, what would it
I
cost
think,
to do it?
if I could,
Yeah.
I'd have the conversation with him.
Yeah.
And I would give him the opportunity to volunteer to
Right.
help us.
Oh, yeah,
do it.
that-
That'd be where I'd be asking.
Right.
Yeah.
That's,
And perhaps he could do some shots at 500 feet and high quality, and we pay to produce the pictures, where maybe he might be willing to give us a few of those just to spice it up, and then
Yep.
he'd be part of the study going forward. But let's give him the opportunity to volunteer.
and
Yeah, I agree.
tell him we could give him a lot of publicity
Right.
in exchange for it,
Yeah.
because this would be stuff that, we would be using as background for what we're doing.
Exactly.
The other thing that just dawned on me was saying what he was saying. When I was a kid, we used to go and fly airplanes, the remote.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
some of them,
Yeah.
they're gas, you put gas in
We're
them.
adding
and
another
stuff.
idea to this list.
I think I am. I think I am, because I don't know if there's any places to do that now.
There's actually one right off the Cank behind the ranger station,
Yeah, there
Albany,
is.
on the Albany property, or
Yeah.
adjacent to the
Yeah.
Albany.
right next to the Kennett Middle School.
So get your old plane out. man.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can even find
I think that's a wonderful idea,
Yep.
especially if you took a place, what will be focal point. So
Right.
I'm guessing the water tower's at a high point, and there's some other
The old
places.
chairlift that I've heard lots of
Right.
stories about, but I have no idea where it is.
Yeah.
And a static shot up, and you put that on, he turns that into a format. I can blow that out at, whatever resolution I have on my, well, the plotter they have downstairs is tremendous.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't have to come up with any expense, and we allow him to put a great big tag on there, the
Right.
photos by whatever.
Exactly, and we can promote that. Ed, you had a comment?
I would add the fact that with a nominal fee, you can get very high resolution shots from Google Earth. Google Earth will do the same thing.
True.
The other issue about the drones, when I served on Criminal Justice Public Safety Committee down in Concord, a bill came before us that made it unlawful to fly a drone anywhere near a correctional facility.
Oh, I didn't
So
know that.
We would have
That's
to,
interesting.
we would have
Yeah,
to
you
steer
have to
clear from
coordinate,
that.
yeah.
But that doesn't really make any sense to me. With the drones do, but with the photographs from Google Earth, I don't know if you've seen how much resolution you can get from that.
Yeah.
It is phenomenal.
It is, you're
And
right,
if we
it's very
did
good.
Google Earth, I believe the regional plan commissions have the ability to do an overlay map where
Mhm.
we could stay with one map of the area and layer it where you would have a soil layer, you would have a
GIS.
wildlife layer, you would have a, and I don't want to use the word wildlife corridor, but I'll have to, wildlife corridor area. You could have which areas are the conservation areas, and they have these things already in their database. It's already available to us. Most towns in the area pay dues to the Regional Planning Commission, so we should be able to use the information that's already available. Why redo it?
Regional Planning Commission.
Yeah, I believe this area is halved with
Or Lake Region.
Stratford Regional Planning Commission and Lakes Regional Planning Commission.
Conway's North Country too.
North
so.
Country.
But I would go right to Lakes Region with that. They're always willing to help.
Yeah.
And he'll pull from others if he needs to. That's a great idea.
Yeah, some of that may already be available then.
I'm
Yeah.
off camera, so just so you listen to me, to the people that are listening. Like these two maps
Right.
are an example.
Yeah,
And these maps, once they're layered, can be given to anybody
Yeah.
to look at them. And
Yeah.
you could actually send the maps electronically to whoever you want. If that person that you mentioned before being in North Carolina wants to see all those layers, then it's all available.
yeah, yeah.
And I hate to use the word sustainable development, but it's also sustainable because you're not creating paper, you're not burning fuel, you're not moving anything except electrons are.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
And GIS, or Geographical Information Systems, are really nice. That's exactly the layering
Okay.
that Ed's talking about.
Okay, well, before we leave this topic, is there anybody here, Dale, since you brought this up, would you be willing to do some exploration and see what may be available out there?
As far
As
as
far as doing what we talked about here now?
the Google Earth layering thing?
Google Earth, see if this guy up there who does it, what he
Well,
might be willing to donate.
I will talk to him,
Yeah.
and the reason why I brought the droid thing up was because I think we have a vehicle to show a video online, correct?
Do you mean droid or drone?
Drone.
Drone,
No,
sorry,
droids are
sorry.
R2D2C3.
Okay.
I'm technology challenged, so excuse me. But yeah, a drone to fly. We have a vehicle to show a video.
Right.
So if someone wanted to see that, they could.
Yeah,
That's kind of where my thought was there, but great idea with the layering and the, just something,
Mhm.
because these maps are great, but a lot of people look at them and go, I still don't see.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So if they could actually see and make it something they can
Yeah.
touch and see, it'd be more better.
Yeah, Ed, go ahead.
The other idea I have is, what about the Chamber of Commerce? I thought at some point someone already did an aerial, either a commercial or something. Either it was for the county or it was for, somebody did something. I remember seeing it somewhere. I don't know if it was on the commissioner's website. There was a company that was hired to do a video, a very short video presentation of Carroll County government and the county. So I'm wondering if there's something already available that shows a video of the, I
Yes,
remember
I
seeing
did.
this somewhere, but
That's
that's.
Amanda's assignment. I'll get in touch with Lakes Region Planning Commission.
Okay, all right.
The people at
Yeah.
UNH Granite,
Yeah.
and we'll see if they can get us our layers that Ed
Well,
suggested. All right, so
exactly.
I'll take that on.
The maybe, what we're looking for already out there available, and I think we should determine
I
that.
unfortunately have to leave. That's all I
Okay,
have.
well, thank you, Mark.
But you got Dale.
Hmm?
Um,
Oh, you're leaving?
Yeah, I have to go.
Before you leave, could we decide, you want to have next meeting as kind of organizing this all out and putting, we'll get some dates maybe today, but then get it reorganized and then start our first one, the next one after
The
that?
next one after that. So
Yeah.
I'll bring my info, Dale will bring his info.
Okay.
You'll have your info.
Are you gonna talk with Klaus, or should I? Klaus Telemark from,
I'm going to see him tomorrow night.
okay, he's the STEM guy at Cooperative Extension, and he might have some really good GIS info.
Well, they,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine.
Yes.
I was gonna go to UNH Granite Division, who does all the mapping.
Okay.
Okay.
And you
make
were
my
going to see the
request.
Lakes Region.
And I'll talk to
Regional
Lakes
plan.
Region, see what they can do.
Can I ask it, since we're not gonna be meeting for another 2 weeks, can I ask a favor? And that is, as you begin to track this stuff down, could you keep the committee posted as to how it's coming along? So
Yeah.
we'll know where we are here.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
sure.
you. Have a good weekend, Mark.
we'll see who picks up for lunch.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Where are we here?
My question is, how much, for example, recreation is our first topic.
Yeah,
There's 6 things under
Yeah.
recreation.
How do you get 6? I see 5.
Campsites.
Yeah.
Trails.
Yeah.
yeah.
Riding, horse stables.
Oh, I was
That's
thinking
a-
riding as
That's
part
third
of
last
trails.
continuation of the trails.
Yeah, horseback riding and snowmobiling on the trails, so there are only 5.
Yeah, but
That's,
that I'm
I
challenged.
disagree, no, I disagree. Horseback riding is way different than boarding in stables.
I agree.
No,
Okay.
they're
Yeah, but
saying
we've got it
this
listed
one
twice.
here.
We've got it
The
listed
hiking
twice here.
trails, ATV, cross-country
We've
trails,
got it listed
horseback.
twice.
But those, yeah, so those are like 4 subtopics of trails.
Yeah,
Okay.
so there's,
Yes,
Yes.
but there's only 5 topics under there, not 6.
yes.
Should we,
We've got horseback riding
Right.
basically listed twice.
should we?
Well, no, we have horseback riding, and then we would talk to also about having a stable.
Right, but
Yeah.
should we, what I'm saying is, should we not have these all under the same category? Should they not all be strict, should we make these their own line item, if we're doing it that way? Should we make hiking, ATV, cross-country skiing, and horseback riding different?
No, they're all trails.
But they're all trails, but are they all gonna be the same trails? Are they all gonna be coinciding with one another? I say no.
Maybe what we ought to
Maybe.
do is make the first meeting, 4 weeks from today, trails. And in that,
What are we doing 2 weeks from today?
trying to get organized.
Okay.
But if 4 weeks from now, we make the topic is trails, and one of us tries to get people, or we try to get people for hiking, and another one for ATV, because people, I think, that cross-country skiing aren't going to know much about horseback riding trails.
That's my point.
And I'm not sure you want the same trail for both. They're different times of the year, and I understand that, so maybe the cross-country could be using some of the horseback riding trails.
But you
then-
could have winter horseback riding too.
Generally, people don't.
But it's a possibility. But that's what I'm saying, so if we had those, just one topic of trails, but we had those
Right.
5
Yep,
subtopics.
I
Do
agree.
you think we could talk about,
Yes,
we could listen to 5 of those in 2 hours?
of course we could.
Well, that's my point. We basically have said, okay, 2 weeks from now or 4 weeks from now, we'll take on all the topics of recreation. But the point that I made is, I don't think in that one meeting, that 2-hour meeting, you're gonna be able to take on all of those topics.
No, no.
I think we-
So now you're talking
Just trails.
5 meetings just to cover that one
Yeah,
major thing.
You're right, Susan. It could be, significant number of meetings, because the point's been brought up that hiking trails may be far different perspective than horseback riding trails, or snowmobile trails. We're talking to a different audience in many respects, and so there's a different level of expertise that we're gonna be needing. So when we say trails, I mean, that alone, that one topic alone could involve 2 or 3 meetings.
We could. Or if we have a 2-hour meeting, we do a half an hour block for each category.
You could do that too.
Or why don't we make trails not the first meeting and pick one, but pick one that's just a single
So we're
subject.
just delaying the
So
inevitable.
we'll just talk about it.
Or let's
Postpone it, huh?
let's take something that's a little simpler.
Exactly.
Take shooting range and hunting.
I was gonna say, those could be
Those
one.
can go together.
Yeah,
And in the hunting.
And see how long
And see how
is
it
required
goes.
to cover the
Yeah.
topic completely.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Okay, do we wanna do that then? Do we wanna do shooting range and hunting for the first one, just to keep it simple and see how it goes, and then when we feel more confident, we can expand it to the trails.
Okay, I have a question.
Go Dale.
If we're gonna talk about shooting range and
Well,
hunting.
no, that's a
It's a
question
question.
on the floor right now.
What would we do, or how would we propose something to be studied in the feasibility study as far as hunting? And I ask this question because if we want to learn more about hunting on the 794 acres of land here, where am I directing my questions to get someone with knowledge here? Following me?
Right, can we, well, because if we say, okay, we're gonna let people come and deer hunt on the property.
Is it my understanding
We
that?
might get 50 people wanna go deer hunting. Can we say, okay, we're gonna open the county lands to, like the state of New Hampshire does. You wanna shoot moose, you've gotta participate in a lottery, and there's only so many moose permits given, and they pay big money for those permits. Could we say, okay, we're going to open it up for hunting. We're going to give X number of permits for deer hunting season, and they're gonna cost X number of dollars. We're gonna do it with a lottery.
Is the Carroll County land already open for hunting?
Yes.
Okay.
So then you can't do it. I don't think you could do that kind of a specific permitting for public land?
Because if you do that, you're making it a private area.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, state.
So if the land is open to hunting now, can we close it to hunting?
It's public land, I don't know if you
So
can.
why are we even going to,
Kinda where I was
That's a
at.
good question.
Yeah.
A question that I brought up when we talked about the hunting is, this to me is a safety concern here. We talked about creating a very elaborate hiking trail system and so forth and so on. So while people are out there hunting, there may be other people walking through the woods at the same time. Are we gonna monitor that at all, saying that, this clothing here that we want you to wear? I mean, I don't know how we'd monitor that. And if somebody is out there hiking, we've opened up hiking trails, and heaven forbid somebody gets shot or wounded, and we've opened the trails and encouraged that. We've encouraged hiking, we've encouraged hunting and so forth. Is there any liability that may fall back onto the county? Because we were encouraging people to go into the woods.
This is
That's
my-
just a
this is
question.
my-
That's just a
if I
question.
may.
Go, yeah.
Don't ask me, ask him.
This is my issue. We are so broad, and you asked that very valid question, and we're all like, no one has, I don't have a clue
I don't
to the
either.
answer to that question. So, do we need to find someone, the county, somebody?
County attorney's just down the hall.
Yeah, I know. Do we bring them in to see what the rules are when it comes to that? I mean, yes, people can walk on this land already. Yes, I believe people can hunt on this land already. I don't know if I don't think we're opening up a can of worms by promoting both activities. Because they're both already allowed here, but I don't know that.
Yeah.
So that's information I would like to gather, which is kind of where I'm headed with every topic we have here.
Yeah.
I mean, we're already stuck on hunting. That's one of our 25 ideas, and we're stuck already. So can we start on something that we're not gonna get stuck on?
Well, it had a comment. Let's hear his comment first.
You have a Carroll County representative on Fish and Game. His last name is Patch. You can contact him. I'm sure if he would come in, that would be another professional testifier
Okay.
on the laws.
All right.
I also serve on Fish and Game Committee, so I should know this, but I already know that the state controls the hunting.
It's all state regulated.
It's all state regulated,
Yeah.
so, and there's other towns that have trails and people also hunt.
Right.
Yep.
You just have to warn people, and when it's hunting season, you have to put I believe here on this property where the sheriff has their shooting range, their firing range, there was an issue where our trail either goes close to it, I believe, and there was an issue with that. So we all have to deal with
Right.
hunting season and
Mhm.
firearms and open land.
I think
Thank you.
one of the problems is that people don't sometimes realize when most people go in the woods to go hunting for whatever, they're reliable and responsible. Now, accidents do occur, but I think that if somebody were hunting and they knew that there were hiking trails over here, they would probably go over there hunting. But whether they have to be regulated by government, I find that.
It happens
Not-
everywhere in the woods.
Yeah. People come to
Everywhere
my
in the woods,
house,
people walk, people hunt.
Yep.
Just the way it is.
people hunt and trap and walk and hike,
Right.
and their dogs with them and everything, and, knock on wood, they all seem to be able to survive, yeah.
Okay, Dale?
So that brings me back to my original question.
Yep.
What would be our focus on the hunting topic? What would we be looking to learn? If the Carroll County land is already open to the public for hunting, which it is, I
Yeah.
believe, what would be our focus? Or is this something we don't need to worry about because it's already here?
Well, you notice that under education, art is the top thing there as well. But if my memory is good, and it isn't always, if I remember, I think the reason we put hunting under education as well was hunter safety.
Right.
Basically to, you know, to get a hunting license today, I think you have to complete a course or something
do,
like that.
you
And whether, so I think that's why it was under hunting, under education.
Makes sense.
But I agree with you, Dale. I'm not sure where hunting is permitted now on the property. But then why are we going with hiking trails? Because hiking is already permitted on the property as well. But I agree with you. I'm not sure why it's on there either. But it was a topic that was brought up, and we agreed that we would list everything that was on it. What we're going through now is basically saying, okay, does this make sense or doesn't it? There's some things we may want to scratch out altogether. Sandy?
Well, it would seem to me that if memory serves me, the last time I read some of the hunting rules and regulations, you are not supposed to hunt or discharge your firearm within so many feet of I think it's posted trail. Maybe, or I can't remember about the posting part, but within so many feet of a trail. And we would need to find out if that is in fact true or not. You know, what kind of signage would be necessary if up on our hiking trails, careful during hunting season? Most people already are.
And I think that would be a great question for the representative that's represents a delegation on the fishing game.
Yeah,
Those are the
yeah.
questions we should
Well,
ask Ken.
That's the kind of questions that we'd wanna have
I agree.
answered.
Exactly.
There you go, and that's, yeah,
We don't need a feasibility study to determine that.
right,
Just ask people some
exactly
questions.
right.
What is our exposure?
What's our liability?
Exactly, and that's my concern, that's my concern. And there may not be any.
Right.
Several comments been made, you know, people hunt and take hikes at the same time all the time, and that could very well be. But now what we're talking about, to me, is something different. If I decide to take off on a trail, that's one thing. But if I, as an organization or group, is actively promoting hiking, is actively promoting it, and showing people where the trails are and so forth, is that different? Is that different than someone, okay, say, it may not be, I don't know.
I'm trying to think, you know, I think there might be some closed areas to hunting in the White Mountain National Forest. Now, that's a national thing. But they actively promote hiking, trails are delineated, maps are available, and they actually somewhat promote hunting as well. Those two activities can and do coexist. But, you know, it's, does the county bear any responsibility for putting up additional signage, you know?
What if we just close the trails for 2 weeks of hunting? Or whatever.
We all know hunting season starts and you can hunt year round.
Depending on which one.
Almost.
Yeah.
What can you hunt year round?
It depends on the season.
Coyotes.
She's right.
Okay.
So,
Anyway,
yeah, that's what we need to do.
There are questions we need answers to,
Yeah, we have
but we don't need to
30
do a feasibility study to get those answers.
No, but that's what I mean, do we,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying cross off hunting because I don't wanna do it, I'm saying cross off hunting because we don't need to expand or minimal energy on the hunting and we need to really focus on the trails.
Yeah,
Or really need to focus on the stables or a shooting range. Those are the things that we don't know about.
I think a shooting range, especially if it's going to be a money thing, would probably almost take the 2-hour discussion. Inviting people from different shooting ranges
Mhm.
and how they operate, and there is one someplace that they use actually live animals for targets.
What did you just say? In New Hampshire?
Run.
I know there's places, private places of land where you can pay to go hunt a specific species
Yes,
of animal.
yeah.
But it's not target practice.
Maybe I missed.
question. All right, let's take the Carroll County Fishing Game Club up there in Madison,
Yeah.
whatever its name is, okay. Now we are thinking, just a few towns down, of basically opening up the same kind of thing. And we're talking about bringing other people, maybe people who have stables, to come in and talk to us about stables. Might some of these people see this as, my God, they're asking me to promote competition here of what I do, and why should I help them?
We might run into that. It's a valid point. But again, we need to figure out, are we in this business to fix the Carroll County farmlands? Are we still calling it farmlands?
Farm and lands?
No,
Farm.
just the lands, yeah.
Okay.
County lands.
Early on, we decided to take the word farm out of it because we felt
Right,
it was
okay,
too limited.
changes.
Yes.
But are we looking to make money, or are we looking to lessen the tax burden on the taxpayers?
Well, who's gonna make the money? Is the county gonna do this? My understanding was the county isn't gonna be doing this. Basically, we're hoping to bring in the private sector. And you may run into a problem with that as well until that's clear. If, say, we invite somebody to come down to talk to us about, say, a shooting range, or riding trails, horseback riding trails. They may ask, well, wait a minute now, is the government gonna, is the county government gonna put its resources behind this? And we're now competing with county government?
I don't think so.
No, well, I think that point's gonna be
I
made
don't
clear.
think
I
that's-
think we've gotta have a clear understanding in our own mind here, basically, who are we talking for? And I sensed early on that the feeling was that this is not gonna be the county government. The county government itself is not gonna be running the riding stables, it's not gonna be doing a lot of this. We're hoping that we can lease this out, that the county can generate revenue, but it's gonna be the private sector that's doing this. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I think that point's gotta be made clear.
So what we need to do then, and I think we're way ahead of the game here,
Mhm.
but I'll bring up the cross-country ski trails, for
Okay.
example. Say someone wants to open up their own cross-country ski business.
Yep, it's a great place to
And
do it.
they come and they have a business plan, and they
Yep.
bring it to the commissioners and the
Yep.
delegation. Everyone says, yeah, we'll let you do your X amount of kilometers of cross-country ski trails. And we figure out what the county will get for letting said person run their whatever business it is, insert topic here. I think that's what we're looking to do with all of it, if
Mhm, mhm.
I think. So, after we get our education done on what we wanna do, further down the line is when we bring in other people or someone, maybe not this committee, but maybe the commissioners or the delegation, and they say, this is what we're gonna do.
Okay.
This is what we would like to use the county land for.
Mhm.
And then, if that's the direction we wanna go, then that's where we focus our search at that point. But until that point, I think we need to start, like, categorize these. The 5 items in recreation. 1, 2, we'll do that the first in 4 weeks. 3, 4, 5, we'll do that in 6 weeks.
Mhm.
And then we move on from there. It all depends on how much we wanna get involved here. And
Well, that's the point that I tried to make earlier. How deeply do we want to go into this?
well, not so much for the RFP or the feasibility study, but how, well, maybe it is, somewhat, but I've lost my train of thought, of course.
Welcome to my world.
But we can have a lot of these things in place to make a decision on. Like, say, just for the sake of argument, campsites, public Boy and Girl Scouts.
Mhm.
Well, let's separate those two, campsites or the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts. You bring in both organizations and they say, yeah, we'd love to be able to have a big jamboree once a year here. What can we do to help make that decision easier for you to let us have it here? well, you can build X amount of trail, blah, blah, blah. There's so many different directions right now. We need to focus it so we can make a better educated decision to write the RFP for the feasibility study.
Well, oh, okay. I think I understand where you're going, but the question, and I want to get back to it again here, looking at some of these things, we may find we get all the answers and all the information we need. Let's stick with the campsites here for the Boys and the Girl Scout, the annual jamboree or something. It would seem to me that in part of the discussion with them, the first question we would ask them is, what do you need? What do you need to make this happen and doable? And they say, well, we need this, maybe we need water, maybe we need toilet facilities, maybe we need places where we have campfires and so forth. How many tent sites we're gonna be needing, campsites we're gonna be needing 50 or 60, and in the past, we've paid $2,000 for a weekend. I'm just making up numbers here. Well, we may find in further discussions and talking with other people at campsites that we basically now have all the information we need. I mean, we don't need to spend another nickel to go out to say, okay, we can do this or we can't do this. So what we would do is we'd cross that off, things to put in the RFP, because we already have all the answers and information that we need. And what we do is we go down to, I agree with where you're going with this, Dale. We bring people in who have far more expertise in areas that we do. We may find at the end of that listening session that there really isn't a lot more information we may need. In fact, what we may find on the trails and so forth in the campsites, we may find somebody who has a campsite in some other part of the county that says, I've been looking to expand. I want to talk to the commissioners about maybe I may want to lease this and do this myself. Okay, fine. I mean, let's move on. So we may find doors opening up here that the 6 of us sitting here now can't even begin to think of. And at the end of the day, we may say, okay, there really isn't a lot on that list left that we need to do a feasibility study for. We've got all the information that we need. We can make the case.
Sure, fine,
Huh?
fine, save
Yeah,
the money.
exactly.
My point to this whole thing is this is the second committee that we've had on this subject.
Yeah,
I'd rather take the time to do it right and not do it again
Mhm.
nope.
than rush through it and be right back to square one again in 6 months.
Well, no, Dale, this is our one shot at this thing, so let's
Right.
do it right. But by the same token, if we as a committee find that we've had someone down there, 2 or 3 people, and we've asked them every question we could think of, and I think the 6 of us could probably collectively come up with an awful lot of questions, coming at this thing from different angles. And when they leave, we say, you know what? I think we've gotten everything we need to do this. We haven't rushed into it. We haven't made a rash or quick decision on this thing, but basically we've looked at this from 6 different angles. What more do we need to get? What are those unanswered questions left out there that we feel that this should be included in the RFP? I mean, I don't know. I agree, we don't want to rush this thing. Haste makes waste, but by the same token, if we feel that collectively we are comfortable, we can see this whole thing, I don't see, do we need then to just keep it going and going and going?
I agree, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I'm with
Okay.
you.
So
Amanda.
what you're envisioning is, first of all, I want to thank, as a taxpayer, I want to thank the 5 of you for being willing to give your time to this. And it sounds like you're willing to do that however long it may take, which I'm really
You're
impressed.
stuck with me.
I am very, very impressed. And I want to thank you as a taxpayer, as a commissioner, and it's just wonderful. So the goal that you're talking about is we do what we can. When we get something that we think we can either recommend to or not to do, we put that in the report, we go on. And when we get to stuff that, geez, we really don't know about this one, we're not sure, that we give to the feasibility study.
That's at this point in time, Amanda, after listening to all the good input here and the good questions, I lean that way. And as Dale says, I don't think we should rush it. I don't think anybody here says, look, if we're not done by Christmas, I'm out of here. I haven't heard anybody put any sort of a time limit on this thing itself, so we do have time, and we want to be thorough. I think when, and again, I'll just use trails as an example. If at the end of the day, we feel we are comfortable with the information that we've gathered, that we think we could answer any question about this, then, again, let's just put that aside and move on to something else. I don't think we should just be here because we want to look good. We're here to do a job, and to do that job to the best of our ability, and when collectively we feel we've done that, then let's move on to something else. Is there general agreement on that? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ship it sailed.
Okay. And what we may find conceivably is that at the end of the day, that there are some things on this list that we may collectively come to the conclusion after talking to people, this is just never gonna happen, you know? So let's just cross that off
And that's our job.
move on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, and-
exactly.
And I think with that approach, if we do get some overlap, if we've already recommended this, and then we're doing something else, and we go, wow, this is overlap with that, then we make the recommendation with this one and say, you know, this could overlap with that,
Mhm.
and go on. So when we get done, we've kind of got this intricate picture as to what we want. My question is more to the point, which one do we want to do first?
That's a good question, Amanda.
And because I'd like to get some dates put on some of this now,
Yeah.
so we could publish it, so we could give people in the county
Yeah.
time. And we may get some people that say, oh, wow, if you're gonna have ATV trails there, I wanna come and talk to you.
Yep.
Mhm.
And, you know, things of that nature. So if we get it, and that would give us some more publicity, we can get it in all three paper circulations here, and that keeps the whole idea fresh, I think, in people's minds.
And growing.
And growing. And we've already attracted 2 people, so maybe we can
Yeah,
attract
yeah,
more.
yeah, well, that'd be nice. That would really be nice if we can begin to draw in others. I want to get back to a point that, and this is taking a step back, and that is, how do I want to say this? That I think we as a committee should make it clear that we are not looking for the county to basically to do a lot of these activities. That it is our hope that they will be either leased out, or whatever term we want to use, that we are looking for the private sector to do this. Because we know, second or third hand, that has been one of the big concerns of past delegations, is that now we're all of a sudden competing with the private sector. And I think that that's something that we should dispel right away, that we don't see a role for county government in this, regardless of what that activity is, that we are looking basically for the private sector to fill that role. And what it can do is, it can start to generate some money for the county as well, getting back to its taxpayers. If, I don't, you know, and I'm not even gonna try to guess what this might, but if we got all sorts of different activities out there, and they're all paying the county a fee to be able to do those activities without it costing the county money, then all of a sudden it becomes a revenue gainer rather than a cost to the county. And I would think that alone, those 2 things alone, we're not competing with the private sector, and at the same time, we're looking for this to be a source of revenue for the county, that would gain support.
And at the very most, it would be public-private.
I like those public-private partnerships.
Collaboration.
And this is a good example of that, of that working. So I think as a committee, I think as we're out talking to people, I'm hoping that that's the position we'll take. We're speaking as one voice, is that, you know, we are not, even though we're a committee appointed by the county, we are not basically out there looking for new ways for the county to get involved in things, but basically the county looking for the private sector to do that for us.
We're looking for the best use of the land.
The optimal use of. Okay.
That's our whole.
Back to this now, yes.
For the benefit of the taxpayers.
At the benefit of the taxpayers, right. Okay.
We might have
Left to right, top to bottom.
1, 2, or 3.
Okay, so which one do we want for our first one here then?
Left to right, top to bottom. Recreation 1, 4 weeks from today.
I agree with the recreation 4 weeks from today, but what part of it?
Okay.
What is, that's what I had my phone on. I apologize for the phone call. That was important.
We've got a calendar here, right?
That would be the 10th of December.
No,
It's a 2-hour meeting, correct?
no,
10th of November.
November.
Oh,
Sandra,
11:10.
Don't rush it.
sorry.
Okay.
November 10th.
Steve,
Dale?
I would suggest the trails, if we have 2 hours and we separate it into 3 blocks, you do your trails, hiking, cross-country, horseback riding, ATV, snowmobile would be a second block.
Wait a minute, hold it now. Okay, what's gonna be your first block?
Hiking, cross-country skiing, horseback riding.
Hiking, cross-country skiing, horseback
riding,
and that's gonna be your first block.
Yep.
And then your second block is what
Your ATV and your snowmobiles.
Okay.
Are those hour-long blocks?
And we're gonna
Well,
devote how
2-hour
much?
meetings, so,
1 hour for each.
well, that's,
Is that what you're suggesting?
I was gonna try to
No.
get a third one in there.
And what would your third one be?
The shooting range.
I think you might want to think about that. That could generate a lot.
I think
If we're publishing these topics,
the trails.
yeah, if we're publishing these topics though,
We're looking 40 minutes per block if we do 3, roughly.
I don't think you're gonna get, you know, when you're talking about cross-country skiing, hiking, and horseback riding, those are actually, you think they're kind of the same, but they're really different.
I was going motorized, non-motorized. That was my
mhm.
thought process there.
Question,
7.
how different a trail is it for hiking and cross-country skiing? Are we talking different type of trails altogether here?
Depending
Yeah,
on
okay.
I don't know what the word is, it escapes me right now.
Terrain?
I know downhill skiing, you have the green squares, the
The levels
blue,
of difficulty.
yeah, the level of difficulty.
Yeah.
Yeah, could some flat hiking trails be also cross-country trails, if they're wide enough? Yeah, probably. But then you have different terrains, you're talking,
Mhm.
and that's
Okay.
another question that we ask the cross-country ski hiking people.
How are we going to get in touch with the people that we want to come in to talk to us about this? How would we get in touch with them, and who's gonna be getting in touch with
Are you
them?
asking personally?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
What I would do
yeah,
is I would call some local cross-country ski businesses and say, would you be interested in coming to talk to us? A, would you be interested in walking the county land with me to see what we have, looking at these photographs that we have? And then would you be interested in coming to tell us about what your thoughts would be about having a cross-country ski business on the Carroll County farm? That would be my plan of attack.
See, and I think that would take a bit of time. I don't think you could get them that all washed out in 40 minutes. I really don't, because first of all, the cross-country skiing, you're gonna have some, I hope, more than one peoples here.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll have some difference of opinion. And then that idea where the trails are here and made versus, okay, now you can bring in your business, you can rent your cross-country skis, you can take care of the trails, and you can use the trails. What would you need? What kind of insurances? What kind of liability?
If you wanted to do that,
Yeah,
if we wanted to have
so,
it,
so
right.
that I think is almost two different sessions. Because the actual trails and the building of whatever, creation of the trails is one thing, but then the business that's going to use it, that's a, you know, they're gonna use the trails that are here.
So you're saying we should do 2 1-hour blocks, one for hiking, one for cross-country skiing? Would that work? If we did our homework ahead of time?
Okay, now when they do the hiking trails, people just usually come and
It's
hike.
gonna be
right?
open to the, free of charge and
Yeah,
just.
so there's no charge for
Right.
that. But then we need people that are going to build the trails.
Well, that's why you have a crossover and you bring the Boy Scouts in to help build your trails and you have your clubs.
Maintain them.
Yeah,
There's that overlap.
that's where you have your overlap.
So I'm thinking trails should be one meeting.
Okay,
And then the business end,
Well,
because the business
that comes
end will be for cross-country, there'll be business for horseback riding, there'll be business, I don't see any business for snowmobiles. And I don't see any business for hiking.
the only business I could see for snowmobiles, off the top of my head, would be someone coming in here that has 10 snow machines and wants to rent them on the property to ride on the property.
That's a possibility. I was thinking about that earlier. There may be rental equipment involved. The cross-country skis, there may be rental
Yeah.
equipment.
Well,
Snowmobiles, there may be rental equipment. So, you know, and it's, and the thing is, and are they gonna charge fees for this?
The cross-country skis.
Yeah, for-
Yeah, of course.
That would be a business, but
Yeah, right, it's gonna be a business for them. Sandy,
I think we're trying,
we're trying to micromanage this thing.
well,
and-
yeah, I think so, and maybe we're getting a few carts before horses here.
Yeah, okay.
Let's just see, A, is there a need for additional cross-country ATV snowmobile trails at all? Or horseback riding trails at all? And just, you know, before we talk about bringing in a business to run something, let's just find out if there's a need for it and what it would take to get something built. You know, again, the Boy Scouts is a great idea. You know, that crossover. And as you said, you know, deal with the business end of it later.
That's when we start accepting proposals from businesses that
Right.
don't want to be
Right.
here.
But the people who already have businesses would be able to educate us as to see if that would be feasible here.
Correct, I agree.
That's what I'm talking
agree,
about.
I
bringing
agree.
The business people in now for, not for the, hey, do you want to run a cross-country ski?
Yeah, I just want to find out,
Yeah.
A,
Right.
is there a need for additional facilities? And what does it gonna take to get them built?
Yeah. You know, we've made an assumption here, and that assumption is if we build it, they will come. And I think, you know, we're asking some good questions. When we bring people in who do this, I think that's, before they leave, we should ask them, is this something that you think has business promise? Is this something that you'd want to get involved in?
Isn't that the question we asked the feasibility study people?
Mhm.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if we've got somebody here who basically runs a cross-country ski trail, and there are 2 of them up in the Mount Washington Valley. There's one up in Jackson,
Yeah.
and there's also one in North Conway.
there's one in Wolfboro.
Yeah, okay, all right, then there's 3. Now, if we can be successful in getting these people down to talk to us, you know, I mean, there were a lot of questions we want to ask them, but I was thinking that one of the questions is, you know, is this something that you, as someone who does this, would you be interested in this? Is this something you'd be interested in? Because to me, a feasibility study going out there, we've already got a lot of the information. All we'd be asking them to do, if I'm following this thing correctly, is to see whether they'd be able to find somebody who basically would be interested in doing it.
Or someone maybe says, hey, that's a good idea. I think a cross-country ski trail on public land where I would lease the land through the county would maybe make me some money and help the It'd be someone not
Yeah.
already in business,
Yeah,
maybe.
I would just,
You never know.
yeah, and,
But- That's where you bring the feasibility study into it, and you say, if we had someone come in, would this work? This is the idea we've had, we narrowed it down to this. We wanna know, through your feasibility study, if a privately run on public land, cross-country ski business would work. That's the question we wanna ask the feasibility study. If, after we gather all the information, we think that is something the six of us agree on, is something we want them to study. That's the question we ask the
Okay.
feasibility study people.
okay,
But the first thing we gotta do is this piece of property
Right.
appropriate to put cross-country
Mhm.
ski trails on?
exactly, exactly.
Mhm.
You know, 'cause-
And it's just that,
and that, I don't know who you would ask.
The people that already have cross-country ski trips.
yeah, exactly. They can tell you whether the topography was gonna work or not. So,
Same way
so,
with hiking trails.
okay, so we've
And the
identified,
multi-use trails.
we've identified 3 groups here in Carroll County who basically run, manage, operate cross-country ski trails.
I think there's part, isn't there a Bartlett ski touring too?
But there might be. There's the Jackson, there's the one in North Conway, and you see there's one in Wolfboro. So who's gonna contact them? About inviting them, see if they'd be willing to come to our next meeting.
In 4 weeks.
In
Not our
4
next
weeks.
meeting, in 4 weeks.
in
Four weeks.
November 10th.
Do we want them all here at the same time? Or do we want
Well,
to
if we,
space them a little?
if we don't, we're stretching that out. It may not be a good idea to have them here all together, but what we're doing is, say we've got the 3 and all 3 agree to come down, then we're talking 3 separate meetings?
Well, no, I'm saying, one could come at 3:30, and one could come at 4, and one could come at 4:30.
Okay, all right.
Um,
Dale?
Go ahead, Sandy.
Well, we're trying to get educated, in this case, as to what it takes, or what are the characteristics of a good cross-country or hiking or horseback riding trail. So, let's say we were focusing on the cross-country skiing for the moment, and if we had representatives from, say, all 4 here, to give us their expertise. How is that, how are they competing against each other at
Yeah.
that point in time? They're educating us.
I agree.
Well, that was what I had talked about earlier. If some of them, they see this as competition, that, you know, how
It's-
is this going to work? I don't know.
It's not, though. At this point,
We're
it's not.
Yeah, because we're not asking them about running a business, we're just saying, we're thinking about
Cross-country
Now,
skiing.
two of them,
cross-country skiing.
if 2 of them say to us later, hey, we're at, then it becomes competition, which is a good thing. But at this point, we're just looking to get educated on do we think the land is suitable for a cross-country ski business on public property?
No, forget business.
Enjoyable cross-country skiing.
Ski trails. Forget the word business. For the moment, we've got to forget that word.
Yeah, but they're not stupid. Why would we be even asking
Right.
this question unless?
Well, because we could be going to put in cross-country ski trails and leave it open, free to the public.
Correct?
But Steve just told them that we were looking for private businesses to come in and do it on public land.
Well,
The county's not gonna do
Yeah.
it.
but if it's free, maybe, I don't know, like ski clubs, snowmobile clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They come all over my property, and they come and they cut the trails, and they come and they
they maintain them and they
Yep.
work
pack
on
them
them all the
down,
time.
and,
Yeah.
once a year they give me a banquet, and
Yeah.
that's it.
I think there's one thing we gotta understand, and my only experience with this is the North Conway Ski Touring Group. They have machines, very expensive machines,
Groomers.
that go out and groom those trails. They just don't say, well, I know we got 2 feet of snow last night, but the trails, you always go have fun. Those trails are continually groomed, manicured, and so forth. So I think if anybody was gonna be interested in doing this, and I hope they would be, It's more than somebody saying, oh yeah, I'll give you $1,000 a year. They're gonna bring in equipment. I mean, there's a lot that goes into this, and I think we've gotta clearly understand that. And so that, I'm not saying that to discourage anybody, but if we are successful in people coming down to assist us and give us this information, I think we've got to have somewhat of an understanding, as maybe as elementary as it is, of what is being involved here. That doesn't, but we could be surprised. Somebody may say, I've been looking to spread my operation down into more of the southern county, and this is great, I'm really interested. When this is all over, let's talk. I don't know. But
I think if up front, what we do is we say, look, we want to know if it would make any sense to have, could we have enjoyable cross-country skiing
Yes.
here on the county?
Yeah.
And they may say, not really, it's too short, there's no long runs,
Yeah.
it's only got one place that you got, it's just wouldn't, people wouldn't want to come here, they're just not interested, they'd
Yeah.
rather go out on the lake.
Yeah.
So,
Now, another stupid question is, do we have parking for this? At these trailheads, where this trail starts, is there parking? Or is someone gonna have to invest in creating a parking lot, even if it's nothing more than a gravel parking lot? I mean, where would the trail start and where would the parking be?
But
well, that's
part of
what they
we're
would be
finding
telling
out,
us,
Yeah.
they would be helping us with that. And they
Yes.
could tell, and even if we were just gonna do it free, so cross-country people could come, like hikers come and hike.
Yeah,
You gotta have a place to park people.
exactly,
All the trailheads for
Yeah.
hiking have places to
Exactly.
park.
yeah.
So, I mean, those things, I think, without even getting into the business,
Yeah.
which
I'm
we all.
not saying business again.
Go to your room, Dale.
No, I don't mean that, because
I know.
we do want to make money. Oh my God, please
Yes.
don't let anyone say that, I don't want to make money.
No, but it's right.
But when we ask them to come, we can just say, look, we want your opinion about having cross-country ski here.
Exactly.
Or we want your opinion about having hiking trails here. And if we, they say, oh yeah, you could have one out here, and one over here.
Yeah.
And that's, or, no.
Is the topography suited for that, with this work?
And, how does it work with the combination of hiking, winter hiking, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, and horseback riding? For those multiple uses, perhaps all at the same time. What are the impacts?
Good question.
So can we say in 4 weeks, we're going to talk about trails
Yes.
and trail systems
Yeah.
for non-motorized equipment?
Yeah.
That would be
The first
good.
group is-
Yeah, yeah.
is
That would
non-
take one
it's
whole meeting,
non-motorized.
wouldn't it?
It's non-motorized, that's the
It
first
could,
group.
because I could foresee, knowing how some people feel about motorized machines, ATVs, snowmobiles, you could get a lot of interest, pro and con.
We're
But
not,
the hiking and the cross-country and the horseback riding, those are 3 separate types of trails that could also be connected at different parts.
Or they could
So I'm thinking
be-
that would be a whole meeting if we
I
said.
think that would be a question to ask. This cross-country skiing, this the trail that a cross-country skier needs, would allowing horseback riding or snowmobiles in that trail, would that mess up the trail?
Horses would definitely mess up the trail.
Yeah, they
Okay?
can, if they're not careful at the wrong time of year, yeah, it
Yeah.
can do major
So
damage.
would we want a different trail network altogether? Would that be possible?
Well,
these are all questions we asked. and
That's
we'll-
right,
Yeah,
that's right,
that's
that's
right.
right. Those are questions that we ask.
So
Yeah.
we do, and that would include, non-motorized would include snowshoeing or cross-country skiing or horseback or anything else you
All of
could
those,
think
yeah.
of that isn't-
Bicycles,
Yeah,
what's it, off cross-country biking?
Mountain biking.
Mountain biking, thank you. What about wheeled carts, horse-drawn wheeled carts?
you
Are
want
we
to,
having fun yet?
well, just put non-motorized, and we'll give an examples such as hiking, cross-country
Non-motorized
skiing,
and
horseback
motorized are two different
riding.
meetings altogether.
And then
Yeah.
the next 2 weeks later, we'll do the motorized.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's cut,
Yeah.
we're running out of time, let's
Yes,
cut
we
this.
are.
So in other words, okay,
November 10th.
November 10th, and what we're gonna be doing, and we're starting off with the cross-country skiing and the hiking?
Non-motorized
Motorized.
trail
Non-motorized.
usage
Yeah, okay.
activities.
Okay.
Enjoyable trails.
Ooh,
And what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be giving what, 45 minutes or an hour?
No, it's gonna be the whole meeting on those
No,
three
no, no,
topics.
but did I hear that okay, let's just focus on the cross-country skiing. We've identified 3 groups in the area. We're gonna have them, we're not gonna have them all come in together.
Why not?
Well, I thought we
Well,
decided
if
we were
we're
gonna do
only,
that.
if we're not talking the business end of it, then I think they can all come in
Yes,
together.
we're
As
just talking about
long-
education. Education of the 6 members of the committee.
Okay,
And the quote feasibility of having cross-country ski trails
On the
for anybody to
794
go out and enjoy.
Got it.
Or hiking trails for anybody to go out and enjoy. And
all we have to say is one of the uses that we got from the listening sessions was cross-country ski trails, and we were wondering about the feasibility of it. Does that make any sense at all?
Non-motorized trails,
Yeah, yeah.
non-motorized trails.
Well, that would be hiking and cross-country skiing and horseback riding.
Yep.
Okay, and that's gonna be the first group.
Or bicycle.
Oh, bicycle.
Or snowshoes.
Snowshoes, snowshoes. It's non-motorized.
Cart pulling.
Yeah.
Non-motorized. Yeah, okay. So the next question is, have we, I think if I'm following this conversation correctly, we've identified 3 groups here that we want to talk to as far as the cross-country skiing goes, because they have a history of developing trails and working with trails. I don't know, what about the hiking? Who we talked to about that, but maybe someone in the Forest Service?
Appalachian Mountain.
Appalachian Mountain Club? Yeah.
I would even go as far as to say you want to talk to the high schools in the Carroll County area to see if they wanted a place to have cross-country ski events or training.
Well, let's see if there's any point to have trails first.
Well, I know, but, I mean, that's a way to just get more knowledge on cross-country skiing.
Mhm.
I know Canton High School uses Whitaker Woods, which is a pretty good cross-country ski trail.
Yeah.
Is Kingswood the only other high school in Carroll
Yeah.
County? What do they have?
Molten Borough has a high school too, don't they?
Yes,
Yes.
Molten Borough Academy, yes.
Yeah.
And there's also some private schools, Brewster Academy.
Yeah, it's Brewster Academy.
It's just more input about cross-country skiing itself.
We could have them come in the day we talk about business.
Okay, who's gonna be contacting these people? We need a list of people, and then who's gonna be contacting them and setting up the appointments?
I will take care of the Jackson Cross Country Ski Company.
You want
Alright.
to do all the cross-country skiing?
I will, I know somebody from the North Conway Ski Group.
Okay,
I'll try to get.
that's an easy way out, but okay.
And see if they're interested. And Amanda, do you know the group in Wolfboro?
No.
You don't, but you know there was a group down there. Okay.
What I was gonna say was I would be responsible for contacting at least 3 hiking peoples. One of them being the Appalachian Mountain Club.
Okay.
I know somebody who is involved with a number of the equestrian groups, the riding clubs around, and I can contact her and see if she can put me in contact with people.
And in 2 weeks, we'll bring all that information, or we'll keep feeding
Mhm.
it into you. And then if somebody else should
Yeah.
know somebody,
Yeah.
if somebody
In
should
2 weeks,
show up
we-
at
we-
my house and they want to go cross-country
Yeah.
skiing or riding or whatever, I'll say, oh, by the way, who would I talk to for this? And-
Yeah, well, we'll have one more meeting before the 4 weeks, the 11th. And so 2 weeks from now, we can just kind of compare notes to see where we stand, what still needs to be done to get us ready for that November 10th meeting.
Okay, just from a quick search,
Yeah,
You have Jackson Ski Touring Foundation Nordic Ski Area in Jackson, New Hampshire.
Yep.
You have King Pine Ski Area, which also has cross-country skiing.
Yep.
Wolfboro Cross Country Ski Association, Bear Notch Ski Touring in Bartlett, and Mount Washington Valley Ski Touring and Snowshoe Center in Intervale.
That's just the beginning.
That's 4 right there
Yep.
that we could contact. I will take care of contacting
4 of them.
as many, just want 4? Or do you want me to contact as many to see what we can get?
Oh, as many as you
It's
can.
the availability, because
if
I'm on.
they may
If they
not
wanna
be
come
available
down.
that one day that
I'm
they want
on.
to have that.
Kurt Hansen is the guy you want to talk to in the North Conway group.
Well, I'm not, if you wanna handle them and you know it, that you have a personal relationship with them, probably better if you do it
Okay.
with him, and I'll contact the others.
Okay, all right.
And do you know anyone else that rides?
I do, but I know one person with a private stable.
I know some people I can contact.
But I'm thinking in terms of like a riding, I don't know if there are riding clubs. What I know, there are mostly private boarding stables.
Well, I know people come and ride up past my house. They bring their trailer and they park it down the road and they ride up, because there's quite a bit of available trail riding there. What I would suggest is that we do that, and then next meeting, we get kind of focused to get something in the papers to let them know that we're doing this in 2 weeks, and maybe we'll get some more people come forward that want to participate.
Okay. So now down in, I think it's in Freedom, and I don't know what the route is, this 153 or whatever it is, but there's a big horse farm down there.
Yeah.
Bird Meadows?
I'm sorry, who?
Bird Meadow stable?
It could be, I'm not
Sherry
sure.
Donabedian.
Yes, it
Is
is.
Donna, is it Donna
Yeah.
Median?
Sherry Donabedian,
Yeah, I used to co-own that property with Sherry.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Guess who just got that job?
Well, I know, I've already got her on my list.
Okay.
Do you think, would you
I'll talk with-
contact
I'll talk with
contact her?
Sherry.
Okay, all right.
Is there still a boarding stable on Tasker Hill Road?
I don't know.
Was that Amari?
Amore Stables.
I think there might be, I've seen it listed in the paper once in a while.
Okay. Anyway, I think if we all, the 6 of us know somebody, we contact them, but I will take care of
Yeah.
as many
You know,
questions as we have, other than the.
We're not, all we're doing is basically comparing notes. I have no problem with us emailing back and forth. We're not taking any votes, we're not discussing anything. All we're doing is comparing notes, how are you coming along with contacting so-and-so. So we can use email in the next couple of weeks to basically, just to check to see what problems we're running into in this.
Can I just say one thing?
You sure can, go ahead, Susan.
Maybe when we're talking about horseback riding trails, maybe the same people would want to talk to about horse stables and boarding on the property.
Maybe.
So maybe we would want to
Yeah.
incorporate those two.
Yeah, it could be. It's still non-motorized, you
Yeah.
know,
On the day we talk about business for non-motorized.
yeah. She's staying with those taxpayers.
But the things about running a stable are really different
Yep.
than having the trails.
You have animals.
Yeah, and you got manure, and you got buildings.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's animals.
Yeah.
All right. I kind of have to go.
I'll make the motion.
Motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Well.